We're actually, this is the last panel of the day. I know you're probably thinking or hoping that. I actually, never do these guys a disservice. I always stick them at the back after it's been a whole bunch of presentations, panels. Next time, I promise you're going to be earlier in the agenda. But we're going to do a quick push through, readout of what each of the committees are doing, their priorities for the week, and so on. So as soon as you get mic'd up, come on up. And what's that? Oh, that one doesn't work? Oh. Then I'm not going to have one. I'm supposed to sit there, Chris. I got to sort this out. Well, Chris's doesn't work apparently. Maybe it's not turned on. Nope. Go on up. Come on up, Bert. Just come on up. Always an AV issue, isn't it? I used to be a moderator. Good to go? Yes.
The last session, we should do it over beers, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
Or at least be quick.
Yeah, so listen, I just need to kick off by real pleasure to work with all of the chairs. Said this at our first face-to-face back in Paris when we had a similar, and it's the most cohesive leadership group we've ever had. Worked very closely together with the staff, well integrated the teams and contractors, the board, the tab, and so on. These guys are, unsung heroes doing a ton of the work around here at MEF. So maybe real quick, just introduce yourself. Bing, 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 bing.
Sure. Rogers, one of the co-chairs.
Chris Purdy, I'm with Spirent Communications, and
Michał Łączyński from Amartus, and I'm the co-chair of the LSO committee.
Divesh Gupta from PCCW Global and co-chair along with Charles Jekyll for the TCC committee.
Yeah, and there are other chairs as well. There's typically 2 to 3 chairs per committee, so we just pick one to come up. We're going to start with the CBC, just what's going on. And, maybe I can start by saying, the CBC was formed, that's a couple of years ago now, I guess. And we just felt there wasn't the right home for commercial types, more business focused and product managers. The LSOC and DSE are very technical committees, and we looked up, we thought about how can we create the right kind of framework to bring that product expertise in. I think it's still a work in progress, but there's been huge progress, right?
Yeah, no, I would definitely say agree to that. We're trying to act as the bridge from the business perspective into all the great work that MEF team has been doing. So some of the exciting work that we're working on is address validation, big issue that everyone likes to address, and I think there's a key momentum that's going on. Hopefully we'll get to solve the address validation. LSO blockchain, the integrated trust network is another hot topic that we're working on, and last but not least, the LSO solution providers and even the partner.
And we had a leadership meeting Monday, and we talked about doing something new, which was to try to have the CBC champion find an individual that would be a point person to the other more technical committees, where if we felt we needed product input into a standard at an early stage, the CBC might be able to recruit an individual that could be a point person. So we get proactive product input into the standards before they're developed. So that's another initiative that I think they have the action to make happen. Chris.
So Digital Services Committee, I think most people here probably understand what it does. Every new innovation that happens in our industry starts with a bunch of buzzwords, whether it's SASE or Zero Trust or in the past SD-WAN, and before that Carrier Ethernet. And what we do in the Digital Services Committee is we work to define an abstract definition of the service that a service provider would sell to the market, independent of how it's implemented underneath. And we define the terminology, so there's common terms that both subscribers and service providers would use. And and we define exactly the behavior of that service. All of that is essential to allow the scale, to allow that service to be sold on any kind of a worldwide basis. So we define these services. We then are the ones that then that then triggers the work in LSO committee that allows those services to be quoted and ordered and managed. The certification committee so that those services are certified, and often in the CBC, which then comes full circle. So what we're working on these days, I think everyone's talked a lot about 117, 118. This is, groundbreaking, whole new area of work that I think is incredibly important, but everyone needs to understand this is the first version of those specifications. So we do expect that there are going to be incubation groups, take them to the next level. Our first version of SD-WAN MEF-CECP was pretty basic, but it's really come a long way since then. And I think the exact same thing is going to happen with Zero Trust and SASE, where a lot of the work is happening. Splicing as well is also a growth area for us.
Congratulations on the 117, 118, 2 years, heavy lifting. Of course, the editors and the contributors. It's up to marketing to actually get the word out there. So that's another big challenge, which is just about to start. Michał, tell us about LSOC.
So
always the project with them, always the committee with the most projects, right?
Yes. So we are very fruitful, and we are the ones that try to bring the deliverables that are consumed by the market. So we are the ones that we are producing the APIs and the schemas based on the SC work to be able to be adopted by the industry. And what if I were to summarize what is happening today is we are quite finalizing Sonata specification. We have one only outstanding product catalog that is in progress, and all the rest is covered by business requirements and use cases. And in 1 quarter will be also covered by the APIs. So I think we are very done with Sonata, and we are entering the operational APIs right now. We have already one document standardized today. We are working on yet another that will cover yet another fault management and performance monitoring APIs, business requirements for them. So we are entering new areas.
Divesh?
So TCC committee, we take the certifications to market. So the standards coming out of the Digital Services Committee in the LSO, we develop and then market these certifications, primarily professional certifications. So member companies, if they're looking to educate their employees, then they can take care of these professional certifications. They started with Carrier Ethernet. We've got a SD-WAN, by the way, SD-WAN. SD-CP, there's a new certification that's just launched last quarter, so members can actually take advantage of that, get their employees trained in the latest of secure SD-WAN and SD-WAN services. We're also working on other certifications like the technology certification as well as service certification, and lastly the API certification. Those are the type of certifications we take into market. We're also, last year, we also undertook OIT service, operational interop service. So member companies which are actually looking at developing Sonata APIs, this is like a test bed where they can get a buyer and seller emulator, get conversant with how these APIs work, how they interop. And once you have a familiarity of these APIs, and the same platform helps you to also, test your APIs in a sandbox before you certify those APIs. So that's also a key aspect of the committee work that we do. And then also there is a governance that we provide to the test and certification partners, the ATPs and ACT.
So thanks, Divesh. Sean, I mentioned for the CBC, the requirement to try to maybe bring in some product people to help essentially shadow some of the projects, the other committees. But I'll ask both Chris and Michał, because you guys do the most technical projects and you need subject matter experts. What's the picture look like right now in terms of contributions? Because you never have enough, and I mean these associations are kind of the same. Nobody ever has enough contributions. We supplement the work of the committees with contractors, as editors, and so on. But what's the picture, Chris, right now in DSC in terms of contribution levels, and what are you looking for? Anything in particular?
Yeah, so as always, it's a few people that do a tremendous amount of work. Those people are super important functioning of the organization. I think if I were to say things that we need, we really obviously need more contributors. Always improves the quality of the specifications, and especially in some of the higher level things, we need more security experts to do our definition of infrastructure as a service, those services. We definitely need more cloud experts. We definitely need more people that are doing these higher level services.
And if someone is interested, or if we find people interested, should they just talk to the chairs? Is that the best way?
Absolutely, and I walked through with people today, right? Are potentially getting involved. If you're interested in the security area, for example, now's a great time because the first specs are out. They're actually relatively easy to read, and we're about to start incubation groups that are starting a whole new body of work. It's a great time.
And Michał, what's the picture in LSOC these days?
The SA's picture is that, again, like in DSC, we have a very good team of people that are working. As always, I would like to ask for more contributions. We need our areas to cover. First is we are working on the product specifications right now on internet access. We would really like to have the input of people, product managers, people who are really selling this, have the hands-on experience that we can accommodate in MEF, because we don't want to produce academic definitions. We want to produce things that are really be fastly adopted. And also the second part of type of contributors we would like to have is are the people who are actually implementing our APIs. So we don't want to be this unidirectional interface that we produce the APIs and standards industry, and that's fire and forget. We would really like to accommodate the feedback of all the people who are implementing that to help us shape the APIs, make them better, report any problems, and make it better and better.
Well, also from a feedback perspective, I know that Stan is action to try to, as we have more implementations of the APIs, let's collect more, more and more metrics, right? But saving people money, our transaction times reduced, et cetera, both the APIs themselves, but also the support services like OIT, reducing the time to, for development and testing. So on, there was a call to action, format. Board meetings, the first half of a board meeting is the governance stuff with the board only tab in on the back half, and we have representatives of each of the committees at every board meeting. So there's a good format there, but there was certainly a call to action as we debated the SASE and zero trust, again, new areas, a lot of heavy lifting, sense that we probably need to get to another iteration as long as the contributors there. I would just I've always thought that if all our companies have at least one point person that's kind of keeping an eye on what MEF is doing, what work aligns to your company. We have roadmaps on the wiki. You just have to go, just search for roadmap, and all the committee roadmaps are there. You can see, you can ask us questions. But if each company just had someone that was looking at it saying they need some help, we have the expertise. In particular, as you pointed out, the security area, is not something we're historically deep in. So, I mean, that's a real key takeaway, at least from my perspective, from everybody here. If you could do that, the 80-20 rule is always there. We're going to close up a little bit early. I'm just going to open the floor here for any closing thoughts, and we'll get to the cocktail reception early, perhaps.
Yeah. So I encourage participations that we have in. Right? Your input matters to us, so we can actually facilitate into the group actually doing the real work.
Closing thought is I'm ready for
So I would say that contribution doesn't bite. I mean, we have a good coverage of editors and contracted editors to work and make all the meat stuff on the documents, but we require the input. The input is like make a once a week call or twice a week call, depending on number of the projects. That's good enough for us to get your experience and knowledge into the project.
I think we're good to have contribution on the, we're working on LSO partners program. And I think it would be good to have contribution from the members community to see how it fits in and how we can spread the adoption of the Sonata.
All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for your hard work. Enjoy the rest of the week driving the stuff here. Much appreciated. And thank you, everybody.